Welcome to the show, Mind Blend. I'm your host, Karen Chong, and I'll be diving into the minds of incredible people, each an expert in their very own way. Together, we'll uncover insights and share ideas so you can be inspired and empowered to navigate your own unique journey in life. Ready to get curious and discover what's possible? Let's blend. So, since the launch of the podcast, I have gotten quite a few interesting ideas about future topics. And one of these was particularly interesting because even though I have a project management background, I haven't really thought about it this way. So, this listener said, many companies don't seem to have a good understanding of what project management should be. They treat project managers like admin function or have unrealistic expectations or simply hire people who are not the right fit. So today, I want to dive into getting the most value out of project management with Lisa Dawson. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming onto the show. So, Lisa was the first person I thought of when I saw this topic
Yeah,
because she can represent the point of view of both leadership and project managers. So, Lisa, can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
sure. So I have been in the tech industry since the very early days of the internet. And I have always sort of naturally been a project manager. Even growing up, I was the person who organized things. And when I started working in tech, I started as a web developer, but I pretty quickly shifted into a project management role. Back then, it was called producer. The job titles vary, but the function or the importance of the role has pretty much stayed the same. And it's really like being the person who is almost like the conductor of the orchestra, where you have, depending on the type of project, you have different stakeholders, you have different team members, you have different deliverables. And the project manager, the project management function, really is the one that understands where all of those pieces are at any given point in time, understands what the ultimate goal of a project is, and makes sure that everyone is working in the same direction to achieve that goal with whatever constraints are around it. So time, budget, quality, and so like as super high level, that's how I see project management is really the key person who is keeping a project moving forward in the way that the sponsor of the project intends it to.
Yeah, a conductor of an
Yeah.
orchestra is the best analogy because you really need to know, like everyone knows their pieces and
Yeah.
everyone knows like how the song goes, but they can definitely use a cue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they may not have, they have their own sheet music. So they have what
Hmm.
they're playing at any given point in time. And they know based on, where they are in the score, what they should be doing. But they don't understand, they don't have the entire, symphony in front of them. And the conductor is the one that is not only cueing people to do their part, but is also anticipating on what is coming. And then I like to think of like good project managers add like a little something special, you
Hmm.
know. So they may have a particular area of expertise. Project managers, I think a lot of people, like you said, think of them as being admins or schedule managers or budget
Hmm.
managers. But good project managers have really strong leadership skills. And so they know how to bring out the best um, in any team member or any group of people who are working on the project.
Hmm.
And I think that it's a soft skill that really doesn't have to do with like the tactical aspects of project management. I mean, project management has been around forever.
Yeah.
And there's some very specific things that you need to have just sort of as a foundation for your project, like your schedule and your timeline and your goals. But it's all those other things that makes the outcome of the project, the quality that you want, or in kind of the work that you and I have done in our past, like how are you going to delight your customer? whether it's an end user or an employee or the world in general. And that's a soft aspect of project management is drawing those kind of delightful pieces out.
Mm-hmm. So you and I are very familiar with project management is, and like you have described, it's to bring things to completion, bring everyone along, march towards the goal, and delight the client or customer or stakeholders.
Yes.
Um, what are some common misunderstanding of project management have you seen?
So one is the admin side of things, like the person that does kind of the boring work, like the schedule management or the budget management. Like a lack of appreciation for the complexity of project management, especially with large teams or technical teams or high risk projects. And so I think if you think of a project manager more like what I would consider like a project coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
um, or like just not just, but an admin role where the function is to track the budget and track task completion and, track the schedule and write status reports.
Mm-hmm.
That is completely discounting the role. And most times the person who's in that role, because the value that they can bring to a project is much more than the kind of the task aspects of project management.
Yeah, sort of the quantitative side of things. It's
Yes.
things that can be automated. If you're
Yeah.
putting a person to
Yeah.
do the possibly automated work, you're not using the people in a way that you can get the most value out of them. And I do see that the more and more automation we have, the there is definitely a risk of these jobs going away, but it could be for good reasons because
Yeah. And I don't know a lot of people like I mentioned, I've been managing projects probably since I was like 9, but not a lot of people are like, I want to be a project manager. Like most project managers that I know started off doing something else, and it was because of their sort of natural ability to see a bigger picture, to see like a whole
Mhm.
whole system instead of the individual components of that system. That's what makes them a good project manager. But most of them, like myself, you were a developer, others were artists or, teachers. I mean, like all sorts of different backgrounds to become project management. And the way I see the advance of technology is that yes, we can automate things like turning time reporting into like actionable reports or
Mhm.
invoice, and
Mhm.
there's you can if everybody's doing their job and providing the data, you can automate writing status reports or you can automate predicting what's going on with schedules or you can manage risks and risk mitigation. And to me, that then frees up the person in that role to focus more on the qualitative side of things,
Mhm.
like leadership and delighting the customer and making it so, you have a cohesive team that is constantly challenging each other and helping each other become better at what they do. So I see technology as a way to like, let's stop doing those rote things and instead figure out how can you like truly leverage everything that that person in the project management role brings to the table. And also if you're thinking about career development, I mean yes, there's different levels of project management, but it's a way to allow somebody to actually step outside of the box that their job title has put them in.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's the something special that you mentioned
Yeah, that's
earlier. Yeah, like if a bunch of people are having meetings, you need that facilitator
yeah.
to probe, to make sure people are discussing the things that are important. We get to
Mm,
the right outcome of the meeting. Those are the things that AI can't quite do. They can
no,
summarize it. They can give you a very good summary and very
yeah.
good like next steps and action items and all that. And with a few like APIs, you can assign them in whatever project management platform you're using.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the tedious stuff.
Mm,
You know, like I think everybody on a project hates time tracking,
yes.
and if you're employing, if, and I actually just had this conversation with a technical person last week who he was like, oh, I hate time tracking. Why do I have to do it? It's punitive. It's this, that, it's the other thing. And I'm like, but it's data, like how do we know that we're doing the right things or spending our resources in the right area? But
Hmm.
project managers hate taking the time that's been put in and doing the reports. It's very labor intensive, a developer
Hmm.
entering their time. Like there's all these things that people don't like doing, but they're a necessary part of projects. And if we can automate it in some way, and again, make sure that we're focusing on the things that actually add value. Like data is great, but it's like, how are you going to use the data to make decisions?
Hmm.
I feel it's a super exciting time, I think, for project managers or people who are serving a project manager function
Hmm.
to actually become like a project manager plus.
Yeah, project manager plus. I'm gonna
Yeah,
start
or
putting
super
that in
project.
my title.
Yeah, project manager plus. You can have that one.
Okay, I will. So, for companies, what does having a high performing project management function benefit them?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. So one is back to like the basics. You have a budget, you probably have a strategy, you have your budget for the year, you have different goals that you want to achieve as a company. Maybe you have products that have to get to market. The project management function can be your risk manager when it comes to that particular project. It can be an early warning system if something is going off the rails, or maybe you're missing the mark as far as your feature set goes. So I feel like the project manager is the one person who has visibility of the project in its entirety and all of the inputs, outputs, dependencies. So I think that role as an executive, you want to make sure that somebody is on top of completing something on time and also managing all the risk associated, especially with complex projects.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I feel like that's one thing. I think the other thing that a project manager is really good at is helping strengthen the culture of a team and the culture of an organization. So like a consistent approach to managing projects helps the team understand what their role is in a project, aside from just writing their code or designing their interface, and understand how the different roles in a project relate to each other. There is inputs or outputs. And also creating a collaborative environment. The project manager is in the best position to ensure that people are talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
If you're, if you have, especially if you have a geographically dispersed project team, it's really easy if you're not sitting next to each other to just
Yeah.
like disregard that there's another person that you have to collaborate with, or someone who's depending on something from you, or something that you need from. So I do really think project management and culture go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. So, for people who are in the project management function right now,
Mhm.
what can they do to ensure they are bringing value to their organization instead of just task completers? Like, how can
Yeah.
they add that something special?
Um, it's a good question. So I think part of it depends on the individual. I mean, there are some people who want to manage schedules and budgets, and a task list. That is absolutely what they want to do. They're super happy doing it. It's rewarding for them, and that's fine. I think there will always be a place for that. It can be limiting. So for people who want to grow, I think you know, truly being a part of the team, and this is where it goes to like soft skills. Project managers are really in a service role. Like you are providing a service not only to the executive stakeholders or clients, but you're providing a service to the team. And so I think for project managers, kind of understanding the team, what the team needs, and figuring out how to help fulfill that need, whether it's, by yourself and some experience that you have, or getting help to come in. um I think that mind shift of, yes, there's tactical pieces of the job that need to be done, but there's also this service component. And many project managers that I know are interested in leadership roles in the future. So I think really thinking about your role as being kind of a servant leader, I
Hmm.
guess, but also looking for like being open to doing things in different ways. So look
Hmm.
around your organization if you're in a larger organization, and looking at people that you admire. You admire their style, you admire whatever success they've had or their approach to something, and kind of making connections, and also finding a good mentor. And it doesn't have to be like a formal mentor-mentee type of relationship, but finding somebody who is doing the things that you aspire to do in your career or in your job, and connecting with them. Um, I really think it's like, don't box yourself in, because we
Yeah.
do, as project managers, there are organizations that will put you in a box, and, your job is to be the robot that does the schedule and budget, but you can also put yourself in that box. And
Hmm.
I feel like, just like everything in the world is evolving right now, and we as people, as employees, we're evolving too.
Hmm.
And while in my career, there's always been a kind of this thread of project and program management. I'm the same person. My values are the same as they were 30 years ago when I took my first kind of official tech PM role. But my role is very different.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd like to joke that, yeah, you guys like to think outside of the box. Project managers create the box for you.
Yes.
But
Yes. I love
that
that.
I think now I would rephrase that as I create guardrails, the whatever boundaries we have to like kind of lead us. It could be a winding road, but we are at least walking on the same path
Yeah.
to the same destination.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you just like you were asking about what can PMs do, and the you were talking about creating the guardrails, and I something just popped to mind, that was making sure that the team understands your role, and not only your role but your experience, so what you bring to the table as a teammate, not just the project manager. I think that can be huge, because people have been trained to think of project management in a particular way. And if when you join a team, doing some team building exercises where people talk about the things that they've done beyond this particular work assignment,
Hmm.
I think that helps make everybody successful, but also helps the team know, like, I have a project manager, but they used to be a developer. Like,
Hmm.
if I'm talking tech, they're actually going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I think PMs can do.
Yeah. Just being ready to contribute in any way, shape, or form. I am always like I'm a big believer in that. And I had a client call a few days ago, and it is exactly the same function as my most recent company. So I told
Yeah.
the team after the kickoff, I said, I worked alongside people like them like for the
Uh-huh.
last 5 years. So if I can be of use in telling you what these people do day to day, I can tell you a lot.
Yes, that's
Like
great.
that. It's
And you're adding value that's outside of the, this is what we hired you to do.
yeah. So I think like being a strategic partner, and when it comes to if I think back on when I first started and where I'm now and how I grew, I think it's more the seeing what the people I support will need, like seeing where the organization is trying to head and how I can play a role in supporting them, whether it's helping them make decisions or bringing clarity or aligning everyone. I think I see that as like a huge value that project managers can bring,
Yeah.
and
And
understanding what the people
yeah,
you work with need to go through when you ask them, "Are you done?" Well, I never ask that because I know that just makes people cringe.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so that you're drawing on your experience. And I think because I know you, I know that you do a lot of self-reflection too.
Mhm.
So it's not only thinking about, okay, well, here are the things that I've experienced in the past, but actually thinking about, okay, I this project completed, we did our retrospective, but also thinking about, okay, my role, like what would I do differently? So it's not just about the project team retrospective, it's thinking about, okay, this one part started to slip. What would I do differently next time? And incorporating that um into your future engagements.
Hmm. So I know
You
not.
have to recognize that is, I mean, it does come with experience, like, and but being able to connect the dots there, that's a terrific skill.
Yeah. And I think the organizations also have to provide an environment that allows project managers to do their work. Because I think one of my biggest nightmare is when the project manager is thrown in just when
Mhm.
things are not going right.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've watched The Bear, the
a little
TV
bit.
show. So
Yeah,
there's something like
season
everything
two.
was going wrong. And
Mhm.
the episode ended with, "We need a project manager." That was just like, yes, we are here to save the day. But
Ah, yeah,
that
yeah.
is like
That's
a most I think that's also a common misunderstanding. Just throwing a project manager in there, if you don't have the environment, they can't function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's another podcast topic, is like, let's marks and methodologies and how important they are.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's funny because you can't just, I mean, for some reason it's like, oh, we can just throw a project manager in there and they'll just be able to pick it up and start going. And
Mhm.
that may be the case in some types of projects, but it would be like throwing a developer in and telling them to pick up somebody else's code and finish it. Like, we all know they're gonna go in and they're gonna find issues and they're gonna want to rewrite it in their style, and the
Mhm.
same with designers. You
Mhm.
know, it's not fair to expect a PM to be able to just drop in when no other function is able to just drop in like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if you have 9 women, you can't make a baby in 1 month. I think that's very true. So
Yeah.
if any companies are like they want to assess how well they are using their project management function, what are some areas that you think they can look into?
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of asking, like, do a little research, talk to your project managers, uh, find out if they feel like they're performing their function well, or what they need, what they could use to perform their function well. Um, if you have a company that hasn't adopted a particular approach to how you are running your projects, and so each person is just kind of on their own to figure it out, that might be an area to invest. Establishing either a PMO, so a project management or program management office, or a project management or program management community of practice, can go a long way in um, understanding what success looks like for a project management function and how you might go about measuring it.
Mm,
But again, like, ask the PMs how it's working. Ask team members of a project that went well, uh,
mm,
how the project management function either helped them or didn't, and ask the team members of a project that went sideways how a PM function either did or didn't contribute to that.
mm-hmm,
It's well-run projects with solid project management practices tend to have happy teams and positive outcomes, or
mm-hmm,
outcomes that are not a surprise.
mm-hmm,
It's as an executive, I don't like being surprised.
Hmm.
Like if a project's failing or if we have to stop it and cut our losses, that's okay as long as it's not a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't tell me when we're like twice the budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
No surprises. Yeah, I think one of the most critical functions of a project manager is risk management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know Lisa, so I know retrospective and asking ourselves, it's a big part of
Yeah.
how you like to operate. And that's also one of the reasons why I'm doing Mind Blend, because I like it's conversation. You
Yeah,
can uncover so much when you just talk to the people.
exactly.
Yeah.
Ex-
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking me. This was a fun conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mind Blend. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to follow and share it with anyone who needs to hear it. And let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on LinkedIn or leave me a comment. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and let's continue to open our minds and discover what's possible.